Hi everyone. Welcome to my YouTube channel, which is Explore Yourself, Banking and General Knowledge, etc. Memoir of my banking journey by Mr. V.H. Ramakrishnan, retired General Manager of Bank of India. Episode number 44. The chapter My Days in Head Office is continuing. The link of earlier episodes is available in description. Achievements of Mr. Kathuria continued. Appointment of consultants. For the first time, the bank appointed a consultant to study our functioning and suggest ways to improve our performance. Coopers and Librand were appointed. In fact, we are the first bank to appoint a consultant. It made big headlines in the financial newspapers. This happened when I was in Delhi as general manager. People like me had some reservations about this move. A few committees were constituted, and I was also a member of one committee. There was a workshop for 2 days at Lonavala where all the general managers participated. To my surprise, I found that many were just listening and did not voice their opinion. I expressed my reservations about some of the structural changes proposed and pointed out that it was not practical to implement them. The same team was also present. One thing I was impressed about the consultants was their ability to analyze and study the bank's functioning. I used to say that they were like astrologers who always correctly tell you about your past, not about your future. They summarized the basic problem of our bank in one sentence. Bank of India is looking inward and not outward. It was a brilliant statement. Perhaps it holds good even today. The team also met individually many of the top executives. I had a long sessions with them. Luckily, international operations were outside their purview. They had the ability to conceptualize things. In fact, at Lonavala, different groups were set up. One of the team members sat with each group. We had one young lady, a qualified MBA, to monitor our group discussions. We had discussions till late in the evening. Next morning, she made a PowerPoint presentation of her views. I was amazed at her ability to convert what we discussed as an interesting paper. When I was in head office, I went to Mr. Katoria and told him that many of the suggestions were not implementable and would create confusion. I even boldly told him that the exercise was not going to be fruitful. He listened and, as usual, laughed and told me, "Look, Ramakrishnan, this appointment of consultants has given us a very good publicity. We spend crores on advertisements and publicity. I would treat this as a publicity expenditure. We will implement what suits us. Banking divisions and RBI are very happy, so do not get agitated." Some of the major suggestions that were implemented were to reduce one layer. All the regional offices were converted into zonal offices. They were to report directly to head office. This resulted in creations of more posts of AGMs as the zones were to be headed by AGMs or DGMs. Earlier, chief managers were heading the regional offices. Many metro branches were classified as commercial and personal branches to focus more on high-end customers. In the area of information technology, they were retained as consultants to implement the suggestions made by them. The above suggestions resulted in creations of many posts and the bank started to become top heavy. After the initial resistance, all the staff members gradually accepted the changes. After Bank of India, many other banks started appointing foreign consultants. In that way, we are trendsetters. I thought we would not be going for any more consultants, but I was proved wrong. When Mr. Balachandran was the CMD, I had retired by then. He appointed Boston Consulting Group. Our S. Rabindranath was fully involved in this assignment. I requested Ravi to send me a note about this. I am quoting extracts from his note. Quote, Boston Consulting Group were appointed consultants during the time of Sri M. Balachandran as CMD. The main objective was how to make the bank more profitable and make it number one among the peers when it was at the fourth position at that time. Regaining our pride, it was called. Three key areas BCG looked at were product profitability review, customer strategy at it thrust on SME, strategic business process reengineering, Under these key heads, the focus was in the following areas among others: concept of diamond customers according to profit generations by the customer, creation of strategic banking units at HO to give a special thrust with a special focus on SME, hub and spoke model for retail banking business, housing loans, large and mid corporate banking branches, sales forces, relationship managers at key branches, visibility, uniform bank signboard, and visiting cards. CMD Mr. Balachandran called me from Treasury, where I was working as DGM, to take up the role of project manager of the program, christened as Project Star Gaurav. Mr. R.K. Bakshi was the GM, later retired as EDB Bank of Baroda. Business process reengineering. I had a small team with Rajiv Saxena, he retired as Chief General Manager as AGM, and I have half a dozen support staff. The role of the project manager was to drive the program by totally coordinate the work and be the liaison between BCG team and the top management and the general manager. The idea was that the work would be faster if an in-house person deals with the executive rather than by the outside consultants. There has to be a paradigm change management in the offing. To make any change management program, it is essential that the topmost executives have to be totally involved. Otherwise, they have failed everywhere. So they wanted that the periodic review committee to be headed by the CMD and both the EDs and all the functional GMs had to be members. BCG desired that if the program concepts have to be carried to the grassroots level, only the in-house persons can communicate better. So they created the concept of coaches. These coaches were skill 2, 3, and 4 officers drawn from various parts of the country, called to HO for a few days briefing, and then they were posted at various centers for the next 6 months, where the program was to be rolled out in phases. Thereafter, the coaches were sent back to the parent zones to roll out the program in the other centers. The role of coaches was to train and guide relationship managers at key branches, undertake marketing strategies with the involvement of the local staff by holding camps, door-to-door campaign, carpet bombing, and create visibility for the bank. They also made sweeping changes in branch ambience. Their activities were closely monitored and coordinated from HO by me on the BCG team. We used to visit all over the country and have supplement the efforts of the coaches by interacting with general authorities, coaches and the branches. Another set of coaches was trained in handling large corporate accounts as their relationship managers so that all their requirements were to be channeled only through RSMS as a single point contact, including preparation of proposals of those corporates. The last major area covered under Project Star Group was by involving the coaches in HR, in particular device KRH, key result areas, for assessing the officers' staff to make APRs more objective. The programs got on well. Some of the concepts are still in operation, although they may be with modifications. But with passage of time, change at the top, some of the well-meaning concepts died its natural death. Sadly, for example, the RSM concept of the branches. The coaches did a wonderful job in the field. Later, many of them rose to very high positions in the bank. It was quite a job, but it was one of the best assignments I got from the bank. I had to deal with young consultants of less than 30 years of age and try to understand their way of working and drive the program, which I personally feel received a fair amount of success. Had the concepts been implemented in all seriousness, even after BCG left and the top management changed, the bank may have derived greater benefit. Unquote. Rabindranath put his heart and soul into the job. I learned about it from my conversations with him and also from other officers. Well, for doing this specialized and complicated job successfully, did Rabindranath get any special recognition? Forget the special recognition. He was not even promoted as general manager. I was furious when I came to know about this, but I was helpless. It was lost to the bank. The story of consultants did not end here. If my memory is right, when Mr. Alok Misra was the CMD, he engaged McKinsey. I do not have any idea about the scope of their assignment or the results achieved, except that general managers were posted to head of geographical divisions. Within a span of 20 years, three foreign consultants were employed. My question to the staff were in the bank since 1990 till date is whether you feel the bank has benefited from the advice of all these consultants. I am not talking about profitability. What about the services, simplifications of procedures, marketing, attitude, decision taking, etc.? We would also like to know one statistics. If officers are divided into two categories, those up to skill 4 and those above skill 4, what is the ratio in 1990 and what is the ratio now? This would show whether we have become top heavy or not. Tailpiece. Mr. Aditya Puri, Managing Director of HDFC Bank, was once asked as to why he has not appointed any foreign consultants. He is reported to have responded, "My main job is taking deposits in lending. I do not need any advice from a consultant as to how to do this job." Number two, there was a bank in US called the Bank of Boston. They appointed a consultant to change their name. The consultant suggested to drop the and the bank became Bank of Boston. It was reported that for dropping the bank paid rupees 1 million as fees to the consultant. Acknowledgement. My thanks to Ravindra for its inputs. 3. Bold decisions in real estate matters. I had already mentioned about the quick decisions on real estate matters during Mr. Katoria's tenure. For example, buying flats for officers in Delhi. I had two interesting experiences during my tenure at GM International. The residence of the chief executive of New York, an independent bungalow, was located in the suburb called Scarsdale. It used to take more than 1 hour to commute from that place by train. Coming by car was ruled out for two reasons. One, it would have taken more time due to traffic jams in the morning. Two, there was no permanent driver for the car. That is a different interesting story, which I will narrate later. Mrs. Ranjana Kumar was staying alone in that bungalow. She told me that as a safety measure, she had recorded a male voice on the phone to respond to the calls in her absence. The chief executive had to attend many cocktails and dinners, besides being a permanent invitee for all the functions hosted by the Indian Consulate General in New York. Invariably, all these functions used to be held in Manhattan area. This resulted in her reaching home very late. One day she mentioned to me that nice and posh residential flats are being built in Manhattan area, a walking distance from the office. She said she could sell the bungalow and buy two adjacent flats and combine them into one flat. I found the request reasonable. A lot of commuting time would be saved. I told her that I would talk to the CMD next morning and convey the decision. Accordingly, I went to Mr. Katoria and briefed him. As usual, he chewed his tobacco for a minute and then said, asked her to send the proposal. I informed her and things moved very fast. We got it cleared by the board and she was able to move to the new flat in Manhattan area. Of course, there were criticisms amongst my colleagues that it was foolish to sell the independent bungalow and buy flats. I felt it was a practical decision. I visited the flat after my retirement when Rohit Desai was the chief executive. I am sure all the chief executives who since occupied the flat were very happy. Less at the same time, Mr. Nayak, chief executive of our Singapore branch, also came with a similar proposal. He was also living in an independent bungalow far away from the branch. Even though he had a driver, he found it difficult to commute for a long time. Besides, maintenance of an independent bungalow had its own problems. He suggested buying a condominium in a newly constructed high-rise building. Mr. Katre agreed and we got the function first. I later visited this condominium where B.R. Parthasarathi was the chief executive. If I remember correct, there was only one flat per floor. It had all common facilities like swimming pool. I am sure all the Cs who have occupied the condominium would have enjoyed living there. I learned that after I retired. Mr. KBK also took some bold decisions with respect to Hong Kong's flats. Public issue. The idea of going for a public issue was taken during Mr. Katoria's regime. It was a gigantic task. Mr. Katoria put his heart and soul into this project. Though Mr. Sinai was in charge of this project, I was also associated with this. In fact, the entire staff was motivated to make this public issue a big success. We were looking for a firm of company secretaries for the issue. I had heard that Dena Bank, which came up with the public issue, had employed S.N. Ananta Subramanian and company as company secretaries. We contacted Mr. Ananta Subramanian and he gladly accepted the assignment. He was very knowledgeable person through with the law as well as the procedures. We used to have weekly meetings with him, chaired by me. He became a close friend. Even now, we are in touch with each other. I was delighted when he became the president of the Institute of Company Secretaries of India about 4 years back. He did a wonderful job as president. His wife Pusa is also a dynamic lady. She was with the Bank of Baroda and later became the ED of Punjab National Bank. She was then chosen as chairperson of Mahila Bank. Did a great job of starting a new bank and opened many branches across the country. Besides introducing innovative schemes for helping women, it is a different matter that the government decided later to merge it with SBI. I knew Pusa also very well. After a stint in PNB as chairperson, he is now heading Allahabad Bank. A wonderful couple, and I am proud to be their close friend. Mr. Katuria toured the entire country and addressed the staff and asked them to work for the success of the public issue. We had a board meeting in Kolkata. In the evening, in a very big jam-packed auditorium, Mr. Katuria addressed the entire staff of Kolkata branches. I heard him speak on the public issue, urging the staff to work hard to make the issue a great success. He became very emotional, and it was with a choking voice he appealed to the staff. I had never seen him so emotional. He touched the heart of every staff. All the general managers were allotted various centers. We went with the merchant bankers to address the brokers and press at each center. I visited Coimbatore and Cochin. My earlier stint in BY Fin came handy to me in dealing with brokers and the press. The shares were priced at a minimum of rupees 35. I remember an interesting incident. We had to attend a meeting at RBI to discuss the points raised by the RBI inspectors during the audit. The meeting was presided over by the Deputy Governor, Mr. Talwar. After the discussions were over, suddenly Mr. Kataria told the RBI officials, if you want to make some good money, please invest in Bank of India shares at the time of public issue. The Deputy Governor could not suppress his smile. Such was the convictions of the CMD that in every forum he would canvass for the public issue. The issue was a great success thanks to the wholehearted cooperation of every staff member, right from the CPI to the CMD. All the general managers participated very actively and tried innovative methods. Number 5. BKC Head Office. Many CMDs have contributed for the constructions of a new head office at BKC. Many may not know that the preliminary steps for the constructions were made by Mr. Katoria. He took the initiative of appointing the architects and the building contractors. Firoj Kodianwala, well-known architects, was chosen to take charge of the project. They had done many prestigious projects in Mumbai. Sapur Palanji were selected as the building contractors. If I am right, they had also built our first head office at 1780 Mahatma Gandhi Road. Above are the major achievements of Mr. Katuria. He would have achieved one more thing but could not. Mr. Katuria had served as an advisor to the Central Bank of Ghana during his stint in State Bank of India. As I had mentioned earlier, after New York branch, we had not opened any other branch overseas. It was very difficult to get approval from RBI. Our High Commissioner to Ghana was particular that we should open a branch there. He approached Mr. Katoria. I was also keen because of my knowledge about Africa. We deputed Mr. A.C. Mahajan, who was heading the FBT, to survey the prospects and submit a report. He had also worked in Nairobi. He submitted a very good positive report. We sent a proposal to RBI. They raised some queries and we answered. It had reached an advanced stage. We would have been granted the license. Unfortunately, Mr. Katoria retired. Mr. Bhide, who took over from him, had reservations about opening a branch in Ghana. I tried my best to convince him, but could not. He had strong views in this matter, and as per his direction, we withdraw our applications. Perhaps he was right. LPs. In New York, the chief executive of State Bank of India was provided with a regular driver. It was reported that the driver drew a salary higher than the chief executive. After dropping the C at his office, the driver will be slowly driving around Manhattan area and would come to the bank when he got a call. Parking cost was prohibited in Manhattan area. Petrol was so cheap that it made sense in driving around than parking. Thank you, Madhavan, for the input. In the Zambia bank meetings, I had already written about my first visit to Zambia. I will now try to cover all my visits to Zambia at one stroke for the sake of continuity of the subject, somewhere during my Mr. Vidya's time. After 4 months after my first visit, I received the invitations for the next meeting. I knew very well that Mr. Katuria would not permit me to travel again, so I planned a strategy. I went to him with a letter from the Zambia Bank. As expected, he started saying, I don't think there is any need for you. I intercepted him and told him, I don't want to go. I thought we could send Mr. Pierre Yagnik, my alternate director, to attend the meeting. Mr. Katuria was all smiles and said that it was a very good idea. Yagnik was GM in charge of asset recovery department. When I informed Mr. Yagnik, he was surprised and was very happy. He told me that it was the first time an alternate director was being sent to attend the meeting. This gesture made me and Yagnik to become very close. Yagnik was an excellent officer. A few years back, when we had some problems at Singapore, Mr. Yagnik was shifted from Hong Kong to Singapore to take charge of the branch and to put in on the right path. He worked day and night and was ably assisted by Mr. Rajaraman and Mr. D. Krishnamurthy, who was also moved from Hong Kong for his purpose. Post-retirement, Mr. Yagnik had settled down in Bangalore. He is working as a consultant to the famous Thakral Group of Singapore. We used to meet often when I was in Bangalore. Now we are in touch over phone. The next meeting of Indo-Zambia Bank was held in India. Mr. Mehta had organized the meeting at Palace, Udaipur. Many of you might have heard about this famous hotel managed by Taj. It was originally known as Jagnima's Palace, built during the 1730 in an island in the beautiful lake Pichola. In 1971, it was renovated. Additional rooms were constructed and converted into a five-star hotel under the management of Taj Group. Very expensive hotel which you and I can never afford on our own. It was a lifetime opportunity. By now, my co-directors were Mr. Gopalakrishnan, GM of Bank of Baroda, and Mr. V.K. Chopra, GM of Central Bank of India. Mr. Gopalakrishnan later came to our bank as GD and retired as chairman of Vijaya Bank. Mr. Chopra moved to CDB as MD and then became the chairman of Corporation Bank. Post-retirement, he became a whole-time director of SEBI. One day prior to our departure to Udaipur, both Gopalakrishnan and Chopra came to my office and we had discussions about the agenda item. I found Gopalakrishnan making a detailed analysis of each and every paper. Whenever we went to Lusaka, capital Zambia, for a meeting, our daily traveling allowances were paid by the Indo-Zambia Bank. At Udaipur, when we were sitting at the shore of the lake, Chopra told us that he had been informed that the bank has brought daily allowances to be paid to us in dollars, just like for other directors from Zambia. We discussed and took a decision on this pleasant problem. To find out what decisions we took, please go to the end of this chapter. I remember the next meeting very well for many reasons. The first was the change in chief executive. I have to go a little backwards. A few months before this meeting, we conducted an interview for scale 4 officers for foreign posting. Mr. Alok Misra was one of the officers who appeared for interview. I had mentioned elsewhere that he appeared for his interview for scale 4 before a committee of which I was a member. This time also I was a member of that committee chaired by Mr. Karunanandan ED. There were quite a few very good officers from head office. Mr. Karunanandan felt that we should also send some good officers from the zones. This resulted in Alok Misra being kept in the waiting list. There was no immediate vacancy. We did not inform Misra that he was waitlisted. But suddenly Mr. Mehta, who was the chief executive of the bank at Zambia, had to return to India before the completion of his term. The term of chief executive was always rotated between the three banks. We contacted the other banks. Surprisingly, both the banks informed us that they did not have any suitable candidate at that moment. So I decided to send the first person in the waiting list to go to Zambia. Alok Misra landed in Zambia. The second reason was the visit to the world famous Victoria Falls. Alok Misra arranged for us to fly to Livingstone. Immediately after landing at Lusaka, Livingstone was about 30 km from the Victoria waterfalls. Next morning, we visited the waterfalls. Victoria Falls can be seen from two countries, Zimbabwe and Zambia. Zimbabwe had developed their site as a tourist spot. Zambia had not developed. They had left the natural beauty as it is. It was an amazing sight. The water was falling with such a force that even before we reached near the falls, we all got wet. Victoria Falls is considered as the largest waterfalls in the world. It is twice the height of Niagara Falls and twice the width of Horseshoe Falls, part of Niagara Falls. It was named after Queen Victoria by David Livingstone, who was the first European to witness the falls. The airport is also named after him. The local name for the falls too is Musia Tania, meaning the smoke that thunders. Next day, we returned to Lusaka. In the evening, we visited a big supermarket belonging to a chain in South Africa. We did some shopping. I bought a very nice pair of sandals. I used it sparingly and lost it immediately after my retirement when I left it outside the temple in Bangalore. When we returned to the hotel, Mr. Alok Mishra handed over a confidential folder to us and explained to us that it contained revised salary structure for these executives. It appears the non-executive chairman of the bank, a local Zambian bureaucrat, felt that our scales of pay were very low compared to other banks operating in Zambia. Mr. Mishra left us stating that we could take our own decisions. I went through it and immediately contacted Chopra and Gopalakrishnan and we all met. It was a boggling package. It was not proper to reveal the figure. I would only say that the salary proposed was much higher than what our officers earned in New York or London. The saving potential was also much higher in dollars terms than in any other centers. Now you had a dilemma. All of us were sure that would not see the daylight if we returned, referred to our head offices or even the chairman. Further, the board papers were never processed by the department. It was for the eyes of the directors only. The majority shareholding of 40% was with the government. Each Indian bank had 20% of share. We had made some discreet inquiries and got confirmed that the scales were in tune with the other banks. Then we took a decision to support the paper. We felt that we should not stand in the way of our own officers earning some good income. The proposal went through smoothly. It was a historic decision. I am sure even today anyone posted to Zambia would return richer than his colleagues posted in other centers. So my young officers of the bank who are posted to Zambia should not cry and should take the next available flight to Lusaka. It is a plum posting. The next meeting was held in India, Kovalam near Tiruvananthapuram. I was born and brought up in Tiruvananthapuram. I had seen Kovalam during my school days. It was just a picnic spot and was not a tourist destination. When I saw it in 1997, it was totally different. Alok Mishra spent almost 5 years in Zambia. He went as an assistant general manager or as chief manager, got a living as AGM immediately, and returned as general manager. He did a wonderful job. There were three remarkable achievements. I would like to mention one. As I had mentioned earlier, there are two officers from each bank besides the chief executive. It was very difficult to manage them and make them function as one unit. Each group used to code their own rules based on the systems in their bank. Staff from other banks found it difficult to accept the chief executive from the third bank. Alok Mishra was highly successful in taking everyone along with him. They all worked as one unit. Second, the profits of the bank leaped high from year to year. He left the bank as a very strong bank, no NPA problem. Third, with his excellent public relations and soft spoken nature, he got along very well with the local board members, government bureaucrats, and the Indian High Commission. The solution to the pleasant problem. It was a tempting offer, but we felt unanimously that it was unethical to receive allowances for the meeting in India. So we declined and told them to pay allowances only to the directors who came from Zambia. I call it a pleasant problem as it was regarding money. An addendum to the public issue. On information which I omitted to mention in my main narrative, each zone was trying to collect maximum. In Mumbai, there were three zones: Mumbai Office, Mumbai Metropolitan, and Mumbai North. The competition was very severe between the three zones. We all expected Mumbai office to be number one. It was headed by Mr. Devanji, who was a go-getter. But to our surprise, it was Metropolitan Zone headed by Mr. B.R. Parthasarathi, which won the race. He motivated his managers, especially high potential branches like Bullion Exchange, Opera House, etc. He used innovative methods to canvass for the issue. Personally followed up with each and every branch. He used to inform me his progress almost on daily basis. Remarkable achievement by BRP. British. Kenneth Kaunda was the first president of Zambia from 1964 to 1991. He was a very simple person. He used to wear always what was later known as a safari suit. Incidentally, safari in Swahili means travel. In fact, it was known as Kaunda suit throughout Africa. He made it very popular. I think he was the first one to introduce the safari suit. It was also very popular in India until few years back. Now also a few people can be seen wearing safari suit. Until a few years back, Mr. R. Thagarajan Group, chairman of Sriram Group, used to wear only safari suits. I still have one in my wardrobe. Visit to New York. At this point of time, I do not remember how I managed to get permission from Mr. Kakaria to visit New York branch. I was quite happy to visit New York for two reasons, one official and another personal. The official reason was to understand firsthand the operations of one of our major branches. It was headed by Mrs. Ranjana Kumar. The personal reason was that my daughter was doing her PhD in Princeton University, New Jersey, and my son was in San Jose. I had visited our branch twice during my stay in Lagos. At that time, the banking hall was in ground floor, and Vice President number two was to sit there as in charge. The office of the chief executive, known as senior vice president, was on the 36th floor. The first reform done by Mrs. Kumar was to shift her office to the ground floor. This obviously resulted in better control. I understand that the acquisitions of additional took place during her predecessor's time. We always believe that the real estate prices will always go up. We had a sizable portfolio of real estate advances. Lending against real estate had some peculiar features in USA. In India, we used to give long-term loans, now EMI, to borrowers who want a housing loan. In US, there was a practice to fix each installments for the first few years and the bulk repayment during the last year. For example, if one borrows 5 lakh against a property of 8 lakh, the repayment would be 1 lakh during first 9 years and 40 lakh at the end of the 10th year. All the banks did this type of lending. The assumption was that in the 10th year the value of the property would have gone up, so the borrower would sell it for a good price and clear the loan and would get a good profit. Alternatively, he would go for a refinance with another bank. Thus his monthly outflows would be small. There was another peculiar law in US which no other country has. If you give a loan for an individual to buy or build a house and the account becomes NPA, you have to realize the loan amount only by selling the property. You cannot file a suit against the borrower to recover from his other assets. The real estate value started moving downwards in the 90s and the many banks suffered, including Indian banks. Mr. N.V. Subramanian was the chief executive before Mrs. Kumar. He was ably assisted by officers like T.R. Madhavan, late Jagdish Pai, and Gopinath, who later resigned from our bank and joined ICICI Bank. Subsequently, he also became an independent director of our bank and later Punjab National Bank. It was during this period that a turnaround took place. Recoveries were made, procedures were streamlined, and manuals were prepared. Slowly, the rating of the bank improved and reached a rating next to the highest. Before I proceed further, I should mention about N.V. Subramanian. He is different from the other N.V. Subramanian, who was area manager at Chennai and later regional manager of Andhra Pradesh. He was a lecturer at the Joint Staff Training College in Mumbai for many years and was very popular. He was the first manager of the industrial finance branch at Chennai. I remember him for one sound advice he gave me when I reported at BY Fin in 1989 on my return from Nigeria. Dr. R. Srinivasan was the chairman. I had no opportunity to work with him. He also did not visit Lagos during my tenure there. Some of my colleagues told me that I should be careful in talking to the CMD. He might give a sharp reply which may hurt him. Other colleagues, like my friend Devre, told me that he was a nice person. I got confused, so I decided to keep a low profile. NBS was the general manager of Bombay Joel. I once told him that I was avoiding us as far as possible in talking or meeting Mr. Srinivasan. He told me, "Why are you afraid like this? You are an assistant general manager of the bank. You should be able to lift the intercom and directly talk to him." I was convinced. Believe it or not, within a week I had to convey something to the CMD. I just dialed him on the intercom and immediately I heard a polite voice. saying, Srinivasan here. All my hesitations vanished. I conveyed to him what I wanted. He listened and responded suitably. Thereafter, I had rang him up on many occasions on intercom and never told me why are you coming directly to me instead of through my secretary. NVS retired as general manager, a very pleasant person, also a good host in earlier days. Even though I did not know him that closely, he invited me to his house for dinner. A homely type of persons. I seem to have deviated from the main subject. I am to informed Mrs. Kumar well in advance that I would be staying with my daughter in Princeton. My daughter was staying in an apartment with another Indian girl also studying in Princeton. Princeton was about 75 minutes drive from Manhattan. Mrs. Kumar said she would arrange for the transport. I called on the regulators, Federal Reserve, along with Mrs. Kumar. She told me in advance that in US there was no practice of serving coffee at these meetings. It, it proved quite correct. Initially they exchanged pleasantries, then straightway they plunged into business. There were general questions about Indian economy, banking scenario, and then specific questions about our bank and US operations. Mrs. Kumar was very comfortable and her public relations skill was in full display. Overall, it was a very satisfactory meeting. I made one personal request to Mrs. Kumar. I told her I wanted to carry packed dinner from an Indian restaurant for my daughter. I did not want her to cook for me. She said she would organize. In the evening, I left for Princeton in the bank's car and a carry bag was given to me. Now is the time to tell about the driver. The name of the driver was Khan. He was about 75 years old. He had moved to US about 50 years back. He narrated his entire life history on my way to Princeton. How his brother first landed in US and then others followed him. How being a senior citizen, his wife's medical expenses were taken care of by the government. He spoke both in English and Hindi. Later I learned that his life history was known to all the chairmen, EDs and other executives of our bank. Even I heard his story twice. He was a freelance driver. Whenever bank wanted his services, would be called. His best quality was his punctuality. One night I reached Princeton around 9 p.m. and the next morning wanted him to pick me up by 5 a.m. I was hesitant to tell him. I calculated that he would reach home by about 11 in the night and should start at 3 a.m. to reach Princeton. He said that was not a problem. Believe it or not, he came back at 4:45 a.m. to pick me up. I think I spent about 3 days in New York, met many customers at the office over lunch and at cocktails. I also met our attorneys. Every evening I used to carry a bag with dinner. I found there were many items well prepared and tasted homely. On the third day, I told Mrs. Kumar the food was too much but of excellent quality. I asked her from which restaurant she got the food and how much would I pay. She then smiled and said, they were not from any restaurant. Each day, two officers used to bring food cooked at home for me. She said there was a competition among the officers to bring food for me. I was taken aback. I told her to call the officers so that I could thank them. I was very much moved by the love and affection shown by these officers. I also addressed all the India-based officers. As usual, I advised them not to feel unhappy about the extra hours of work they had to put in. It was common in those days to come to the office even on Saturdays and Sundays. I told them that whenever they felt depressed, they should look at their passbook and the depression would vanish. Those days, the term of an IBO was 4 years. Many did not travel to West Coast. Their sightseeing was restricted to three places other than New York one, Washington, two Niagara Falls, three Disneyland in Florida. I do not know the situation now. New York, both Mrs. Kumar and I traveled to San Francisco. Deepak Rai was our vice president of the agency, a dynamic officer. I knew him from India. He had also worked in Paris as training, a, a go-getter, good conversationalist. Later he resigned and now he is an executive with Fremont Bank in Bay Area. My son was in San Jose. There again I stayed with him. He was a bachelor at that time. Overall, Mrs. Kumar did a wonderful job as chief executive. We got the highest rating for the first time. With her public relations, our bank got a good visibility in US. I noticed one thing. We could take the entire team with her. I would say she was a sweet and tough taskmaster. People working with her was willing to do any task assigned by her with pleasure. All this experience helped her a lot when she became the chairperson of Indian Bank. Clarifications. When I wrote about Indo-Jambian Bank meeting at Udaipur, I seem to have given the impression that we collected the daily allowances in Indian rupees instead of dollars. Since our air ticket was booked by parent bank and accommodation was and transport was provided by IZB, we did not take a single rupee as daily allowances. Tailpiece. On our flight to SFO, Mrs. Kumar was sitting next to me. It was a long flight, about 6 hours. I dozed off. When I woke up, I did not find her in her seat. First, I thought she would give she, she would have gone to the restroom, but she did not come to the seat even after half an hour. I got a little worried. Then, after another 5 minutes, she was back. I asked her where she was. She said she was sitting with the air hostesses, now called flight attendants, and chatting with her. Then Mrs. Kumar told me about the family details and the problems faced by the air hostesses. That is an example of our PR. Recently, I was watching Kaun Banega Crorepati. One of the questions was which lady officers became the MD and CEO of ICICI Bank. Four names were given. One of the names was Ranjana Kumar. The chapter My Days in Head Office is continuing. Thank you very much for your patience. Request to like, subscribe, and share.